When most people imagine pirates, they picture colorful outlaws sailing across Caribbean waters during the late 17th and early 18th centuries, wearing dramatic coats, armed with swords and pistols. Hunting treasure beneath black flags marked with skulls and crossbones. Popular films and books have made this image iconic, but the true story of Caribbean piracy is far more complex than legend suggests. Behind the myths lies a history shaped by empire, war, survival, and rebellion. This is the real history of the Pirates of the Caribbean. The story begins in the late 15th century, when European explorers first reached the Americas. Spain quickly established vast colonies throughout the Caribbean and mainland America, creating powerful trade routes between Europe and the New World. Ships crossed the Atlantic, carrying manufactured goods westward, and returned loaded with tobacco, sugar, silver, and gold. These riches transformed Spain into the dominant global power of the 16th century. Its growing wealth, however, provoked envy among rival European nations, particularly England, France, and the Netherlands. Religious conflict also deepened tensions. The Protestant Reformation divided Europe, with nations like England and the Dutch Republic breaking away from Catholic authority, putting them in direct opposition to Catholic Spain. Unable or unwilling to challenge Spain directly in Europe, these rivals found another strategy. They targeted Spain's overseas empire. Los tesoros españoles flotes became tempting targets, while prosperous colonial ports such as Havana, Cartagena, Panama, y Santo Domingo offered opportunities for attack. From this conflict emerged the earliest Caribbean pirates. At first, many were not considered criminals. They were privateers, sailors legally authorized by their governments to attack enemy vessels through official commissions called letters of marque. France produced some of the earliest and most aggressive privateers, who repeatedly raided Spanish shipping and settlements. Later, England joined the effort, producing famous names such as Francis Drake and Walter Raleigh. These early raiders inflicted damage, but because they lacked permanent Caribbean bases, their campaigns remained limited. Spain responded by strengthening defenses and escorting treasure fleets with armed warships. By the early 1600s, Spain still dominated most Caribbean territory, but English, French, and Dutch settlers had begun establishing footholds on smaller islands. To survive, they hunted wild cattle and pigs, preserving meat over wooden smoking frames called boucans. This practice gave rise to the term Buccaneers, later anglicized into Buccaneers. At first, these men were hunters, not pirates, but Spanish attacks drove them from Hispaniola to the nearby island of Tortuga. There, with few resources and little opportunity for lawful trade, many turned to piracy. Driven by both necessity and revenge, they began attacking Spanish ships. Repeated Spanish attempts to eliminate them failed. Each time, the pirates returned in greater numbers. By 1640, French engineer Jean Levasseur had constructed a powerful fortress overlooking Tortuga's harbor. This fort transformed the island into the Caribbean's first major pirate haven. Pirates of different nationalities gathered there, forming what became known as the Brethren of the Coast. This loose brotherhood developed surprisingly organized systems of governance. Before each expedition, crews elected captains. They established written agreements, known as articles, that outlined discipline, conduct, and the distribution of treasure. These codes were remarkably democratic for their era. Captains could be removed by vote. Loot was divided according to agreed shares. Even punishments for misconduct were formally defined. For men living in harsh and uncertain conditions, pirate society often offered more fairness than traditional naval service. By the mid-1600s, piracy had become a major threat to Spain. In 1654, Spanish forces captured Tortuga and temporarily expelled the pirates, but they soon returned. Meanwhile, another opportunity emerged. In 1655, England captured Jamaica from Spain. Its harbor town, Port Royal, quickly became the new center of Caribbean privateering. English governors actively encouraged pirates to use the port in exchange for attacking Spanish targets. Port Royal flourished. Its streets became packed with merchants, sailors, taverns, gambling houses, and brothels. It developed a reputation as one of the wildest cities in the world. One of the most famous figures to rise from Port Royal was Henry Morgan. Originally a privateer, Morgan launched devastating attacks against Spanish cities, including Portobello, Maracaibo, and ultimately Panama in 1671. His success brought him enormous wealth, and even knighthood from the English crown. Other famous buccaneers launched daring expeditions across the Caribbean and Pacific. Their raids made Port Royal immensely wealthy. But on June 7, 1692, disaster struck. A massive earthquake destroyed much of the city, sending entire sections beneath the sea. Though partially rebuilt, Port Royal never fully recovered. At the same time, the age of buccaneers was fading. Peace treaties reduced opportunities for legal privateering. Colonial economies shifted toward plantations and the slave trade. Governments introduced stronger anti-piracy laws. Many former pirates became farmers, loggers, or naval sailors. Others sought new hunting grounds. Some sailed to the Indian Ocean, attacking East India Company ships and wealthy merchant fleets. One such pirate was Henry Every, whose success helped establish Nassau in the Bahamas as a future pirate refuge. By the early 1700s, Nassau became the center of a new pirate era. After war left the colony weak and poorly defended, pirates effectively took control. This became known as the Pirate Republic. Unlike earlier buccaneers, these pirates operated independently. They governed themselves through democratic customs and shared plunder more equally than many legal institutions of the time. The Pirate Republic attracted thousands. Former privateers, unemployed sailors, escaped slaves, and adventurers all flocked to Nassau. It offered freedom from harsh naval discipline, poor wages, and rigid social hierarchies. Nearly 1/3 of Caribbean pirates during this period are believed to have been of African descent. For many, piracy represented not just crime, but escape. From Nassau emerged the infamous flying gang, including Blackbeard, Charles Vane, Calico Jack, Anne Bonny, Mary Read, Sam Bellamy, Stede Bonnet. These names would become legendary. At first, they mainly targeted foreign ships. Eventually, however, even British merchant vessels became fair game. This could not be tolerated. In 1717, King George I issued a royal pardon to pirates willing to surrender. In 1718, he sent Woodes Rogers to restore British authority over Nassau. Rogers blockaded the harbor and forced many pirates to accept clemency. Others refused. The hunt began. Former pirates became pirate hunters. One by one, the great captains were captured or killed. Stede Bonnet was hanged. Calico Jack was executed. Charles Vane met the gallows. Blackbeard died fighting in battle. Between 1716 and 1726, hundreds of pirates were executed. Their bodies were often displayed publicly as warnings. By the early 1720s, organized Caribbean piracy had been largely crushed. Its golden age had lasted barely a decade. Yet its legacy proved immortal. Modern myths often exaggerate pirate behavior. There is no evidence they commonly made prisoners walk the plank. Their famous accents are largely fictional, and many pirate customs portrayed in popular culture are inventions. But one truth remains remarkable. Pirate crews often practiced systems of equality and shared governance that were unusually progressive for their time. In a world ruled by empire, rigid class divisions, and brutal exploitation, pirate society, however violent, offered some men an alternative built on shared risk and shared reward. That, perhaps, is the true legacy of the real Pirates of the Caribbean.